Hey YouTube, here is part 2 of my wee Sabbath bass amp, the wee Marshall MB150 bass state. It died at the last gig. You've seen this in part 1. So here's a couple of wee GoPro bits, kind of showing you the amp a little bit up closer, assuming that worked of course. Hey YouTube, yeah, so this is the Marshall After the End amp I've been messing about with. The problem with it was that the old head, which died, was, I don't know if you can see there, a little bit thinner than a standard rack mount thing. So I was thinking about trying to fit in this Marshall here, which did fit on the shelf, but as you see I had to cut that off with the jigsaw. I tried to take the baffle board out, I had a look at it, it's like sorry, just try and leave it as much as possible. It's just MDF, it's not a great thing. Yeah, so this fits in. I'm going to put this amp in it. So I'm cutting up this skirting board, which I found in the garage. So I've made a bit that goes in there, like that, the drink. A bit that goes in there, like that. I've not attached these yet because I'm going to paint them black in a minute, once it's going to work. And then you put this in from the front. Obviously once they're screwed on. Like so. So I'm figuring with them, they hold out this baffle board. I had to cut off these wee bits here that are like hold the grill off the speaker. So that kind of fits in quite nicely, like that. And it's still a wee bit thin, but see, just because once I've got that screwed on properly, I can just up like that, and it will just sit on top of the grill, and then it looks alright. And if they're painted just matte black, and I've got a good screw fix in there and then fixed on there, nothing's going anywhere. So I'm just messing about with this middle bit, trying to work out what to do with this bit. Yeah, obviously I don't want to screw it on until after I've painted it. So it's just joining that to that, which gives me. So I just make it that thick, or you know, because then it's gonna just be. You're not even going to see it. It's behind the grill, isn't it? So all I do is cut it with that. Damn it, there it is. Whatever fits in there. Something along the lines of 35 would do it. So if I just cut this to 35 thick, then we're set. Okay, I just wanted to do an interim. Here we go here. Then there's 50-inch speaker, and I've already broken into that and put an external socket on it. And this amp here has many handles on it and many wheels, but it's also got some interesting wiring outputs. So we've got 200 watt 4-ohm speaker cabinet. It's also got biamp mode, which I think, see look, and it's like post, master, pre, full range, and an effects loop. It's also got a booster in front. It doesn't have a DI box. I don't think there's much in a DI box, so am I right in thinking that? It's like a DI box, not kind of like a couple of resistors and a couple of, you know, I don't really know what they do. It'd be quite nice if I could fit one into one of these side panels. The plan for the Bucky things, it doesn't work. It's really annoying. It's totally, I need to be able to get to the front to attach that, and without, basically to get it big enough to take a bottle of Bucky in the side, it involves angle grinding the front off the amp, and it's not worth it for a joke. Especially not as by the looks of things there's enough room possibly down either side for a Bucky. But let's find that out, and that'll be this middle insert bit of the video. There's an empty bottle there. So rather than having one pretty cool and able to see bottle in the front, is there enough room? Oh! One. Two, but you can see how close that is. That's it touching on both sides. It's like totally they're totally just enough to get two in, and they're pretty much held in as well. That's quite cool. Yeah, so Bucky's stash. So if anyone else in the band wants to take up drinking Bucky, got a wee secret stash for the stage. We're going. Hey, so this amp, or the unit, was the MB1, the valve state B150. It's gone. It came with this handle on the top, one handle, and this is a big heavy amp. So when I got it, I fitted handle, Vox style handle, and 4 wheels. So now I've actually managed to gain another couple of handles for the front that fitted this 200 watt integrated bass system in it. Really can't believe how well a bottle of Bucky fits in. But there, look, it even lines up. I don't know if you can see just how well that fits completely in there, and like that's how much. Yeah, totally great for smuggling booze. I'll maybe get some gigs in Dubai or something like that. Yep, there's it's daylight because there's the holes that used to vent the amp, so it seems to be fitted in well enough. Oh, I've still got screws to put on the back panel. I might try and tidy up the Tolex. Yeah. You're good if I use this in the house. I don't like that knob. I need to get a better chicken out knob. The problem is a lot of these pots are broken. You know, the spline shafts, one of them snapped off, so I can really only use some of the knobs that have got the wee grub screw in them. That's how I managed to get these to fit. Half of these are broken, and these are the original ones from the amp. I think it was only missing 2, but they're all missing the white line. You see that? So on this we've got like I haven't worked out what a contour is. Something to do with EQ. Then you've got 50 Hz, 400s, 1K, 5K, 10K. Then there's a boost here, which I can actually use a foot switch for. I don't know. Seems like a cool idea. And then a crossover thing, but I think that only works when you're using another, like a slave amp, and then a treble volume and a bass volume. The 2 that you need. So, interesting. And then connecting up, I'm not really sure what to do. I mean, there'd be no point in playing with this with a big 400 watt one, really. I mean, what's so good about a crossover? I mean, I could run a distortion pedal through one of the amps. I don't know. I don't use the effects loop. Maybe use the effects loop for so I'm thinking about the, but yeah, so for my gigs, playing outside, having a bit of a think about one, or maybe if we only get a 20-minute set, coming in with that, everyone can use that. Assuming it's rock solid. Take it to the studio next week for sure. Rock on. I decided just to cut that bit just square. I was going to try and make it curve over that or something. You know, you can see it by the time I paint it black. But what I noticed here is when I'm about to put this on, it's like, oh, it's got there. See there's a peg thing holding up the, which isn't there obviously in the original Marshall, because the original Marshall just sat in that wee stupid block. So I've got to take that wee gouge out before I put it together. Yeah, that was an exciting, interesting bit. I think it's going to work quite well though. Notches. In there. As usual, fitted it with guitar neck accuracy, so it's like probably don't even really need glue it. As I'm saying, I could maybe have made that a little bit. I could probably just have cut that in a straight line for all the difference it made, but can't be bothered. So is it now going to sit flush? Yes, it is. All the way along. That's interesting. Did I put that at a height completely in line with that? Yes, I think I do. That's whatever the line at the top of that is, so that sits completely on top of it. Yep, right. Take them off, paint them. I don't think there's really anything else I need to do to this. I've already put a speaker output on the back, so I can just use a wee lead to connect to the back of this. That wasn't really anything else I was going to do. Maybe have a look and see if there's any way over. Maybe if I ask on a forum, anyone knowing about how to make it a bit quieter, just a bit noisy, but not. I was in the studio last night with the Sabbath band, and the amp in there was as noisy as that. And it was like a 200 watt, I don't even remember, was it an SKS or something? So it's like, it's a 200 watt bass amp, so I mean, I kind of, it's a little bit noisy for my 8-foot square room, is it? Right, so paint eventually dried, obviously. I didn't wait long enough first time round. So, there we go, there's the black pieces there, which you can't even see. I think about this being made in England in the 90s. It's kind of probably pound shop black spray paint they used in the factory to paint like the baffle board and stuff. So it looks exactly the same. I'm just about to attach the unit. It's just sitting the amp just now. I'm just going to put some 4 screws in there. I was just checking to make sure it was central. And if you look, so there's a bit of provenance, but in the band gun. But if you listen, oops, it's moved since I put it in. Look, right. So that's it, totally touching. And on this side, it's totally almost grips. Bottle wine, I don't have 2 full bottles now. So that's what I'm going to use to set out. Because if I do that, that means it's central, plus it also means it takes 2 boxes of Ucky in the back. Which, as Andy the singer said, is far better than 1 bottle. So, drill. Black screws, dunk. The amp for, I got the Bog Blastol of You thing peeled off the other amp. And then this is the amp that came out. So the thing I liked about this amp was it had the same layout as my 400 watt Marshall. So it's like the same knobs. I think there was only a couple of things. I think that you couldn't switch the EQ on and off in this with a foot switch, and the DI bit wasn't as good, but it's basically the same layout, which I really liked. I don't think it ever really was working properly though. It was suspiciously only 30 quid. And it was, I was running it sort of half gain and half volume in here. I'm not sure, but now it doesn't work. So I put in the other head. Oh, it's down there. Hopefully, you can see it. It actually looks really good. If I do say so myself, it doesn't look that exciting. It doesn't look like I've done much to it. You just go, what have you done? Does it not just met me like that? I had to get in and jigsaw out the top of the baffle grill and move things about, and I made a few wee bits of wood. Obviously I stole all the knobs off that one as well. That's why you can see the knobs from here. I've got 6 gold knobs, the Marshall ones. The pots were all broken. I think I've already talked about this. But there we go. So now it should hopefully be plugged in. I'm playing my J-Pax Black Sabbath tartan bass. This is a Fernandez. It's like while I was getting the Dymo labeler out, which incidentally I peeled off the bit that said the thing that I wrote that said Bog Blast All of You off that amp and put it on that one as a final moment. And yes, the bucky holders do work. And honestly, you would think it was designed for it. I've kind of moved things about a wee bit in here. I think having the bass on the floor, I noticed that when I was using the wee Roland Cube amp. When it was on the floor, it sounded an awful lot better than it did when it was sitting on top of something else. So I think maybe having the bass amp on the floor is just a good thing to do. If you can do that, do it. I'm not sure I'm going to like the orange over there in the corner. I'm not sure what that's going to sound like. And there's my Tonewood swing cabinet, which you can't see because of the way the lights are today. I'm trying to work out how to get that. It seems to be picking it up. Try to make it come out in stereo, because the bass should only be coming out the left hand side, the right hand side. This is I'm playing this bass very low, because if you look at Geezer Butler, he kind of plays it like that sort of thing rather than being where it should be. So I'm trying to do that with this, but it's a wee bit low. This is I love this bass. This bass had to be painted. This is the one that was a horrible cream colour. It's a 1987 Matsumoku built thing, and it is what it looks like. This is a Super P bass. You get a Super Strat. That's what this is, but it's a bass. So it's 32-inch scale. It's got a thin nut, very thin neck, very short string spacing, brass bridge that had to be made for this guitar because the string spacing's so close. So it's like a turbo speed bass, probably not particularly Sabbathy. I've been worried about using it for, I've been using this is a Sabbath bass because it's the right colour more than anything else. I'm not sure it's the right one for the job. I've been noticing the last few times, feeling I sound a wee bit like Rudy Sarzo, that era of bass playing, just at the sound of it, just, well, it's the 80s, isn't it? So it's like an 80s bass, maybe a bit less fuzzy, too clear or something, I'm not sure. I do have other pickups I might put in this though. But the thing is, it's okay, having the speed metal neck and stuff like that does make it, if you were struggling to play fast, this would be the one you could play fastest on, but Sabbath's fast, you know. But the amp sounded good, and the fact that the noise, I'm having to stop and go, is it making a noise? And it's like, yeah. It's just one of those ones I'll just get used to. Like the ticking of the clock. Cheers, Bob. I still need to. I've not talked off your guitar, Bob. I've left it too long. I didn't have a car, but I will do it. I will, honestly. So that was, I could hear it ticking. Now I can still hear it ticking, but I'm used to it. When I first got the computer, it was like, oh, that fan's been annoying and loud, and it's like, I'm already used to that after playing it for 5 minutes. So it can just be another one of the background noises that I get used to. Rather than sitting here in complete silence. But it has calmed me down a bit. When I first moved here, it was a bit freaky. I remember sleeping, and it was hot. It was summer. I don't know, 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that, and I had the windows open, and I could hear sheep baying. Didn't get that when I lived in Lindsay. The first moved here, like, what the fuck? I remember lying there and sitting there, and I'm just sitting watching telly. Was I sitting there watching telly? I think it was with the window open, sitting there watching telly, and somebody coughed, and I jumped out my skin, and I looked out the window, and they were like 100 yards up the street. It was just somebody coughed, and it was like, what the fuck? Because it was so quiet, you could hear someone coughing 100 yards away. Right. So now I've got this to buzz away on. But I think this might be a much better amp than that. Kind of look kind of the same inside. I just think it's because it's a bit older. That one is made in, that's a bit more circuit boardy with, like pre-made circuit boards. That's a bit more made by Jim, well, maybe not Jim Marshall. Somebody who knows, just like kind of soldering things onto a turret board rather than being like a printed, like a more modern thing, just because it's more modern. But I think it's quite good. It might be quite a good wee amp. 200 watts seems reasonable in a 1x15. You're thinking, yeah, the 150 watt I feel was just a little bit, even though I don't think it was working properly, should be all right. There is actually an amp, a bass amp I keep looking at that I'd love to have for in the house and stuff like that. But the thing is, I've already got that cabinet. I've painted the thing on it. I've got a wee bit of history with that amp head because I bought it 25 years ago and never actually used it other than putting a fuse holder in it, seeing if it worked. It does work, and then 6 months later stealing the fuse holder back out it again at some point in the last 20 years. So I knew it worked. And now I can at least actually use it. Plus, I went to the trouble of putting all that extra effort into that cabinet with its extra wheels, which I think I talked about when it was outside. For my gig for, whatever I'm going to get, half hour, 20-minute pub set type thing, an in, off, out type thing. It's on wheels, one go, bang, pedal boards into that. The only thing it doesn't have a DI on it. I'm going to look up, see, but I might, to be honest, I think you not buy a DI pedal for like a tenner. I might just buy a DI pedal. It'd be maybe quite good for putting it into the desk as well, because I've just got like a Behringer mic gaffer taped to a gooseneck thing, pointing at it just now, see how it comes out. Not that I'm doing any recording, it's just basically so you can hear it. I'm also worried about that corner overloading, so I don't know whether this video will be any use at all. I should probably have a stereo guitar rig as well, really, shouldn't I? Thinking about it there. So I'm just sitting there looking at when I was listening back to this just to test to make sure it was working. I've got this panned hard left on the desk. I can't remember which way around it's set up though. What you hear, but it's panned hard one way and then the boundary mic up there is panned hard the other way, and the guitar is panned hard that way as well, but the guitar amp's not on, there's no guitar plugged into it. So I was thinking if I had a stereo spread, like, so if I was using the Orange as my main amp, but also had another amp, my wee Laney, perhaps, sitting on top of that Marshall, mic'd up, and then I could have that panned the other way, and then use some sort of stereo pedal, a stereo. Do I have any? I think I've got a stereo chorus pedal. No, do you have a stereo? I've got a stereo chorus pedal, an old Arion one. It's a bit shit though, and a flanger. No, it's a stereo flanger, Arion, and an Aria Pro 2 stereo chorus, which would split the signal into two. It'd be quite interesting. Also thinking, kind of like to maybe have a wee bit of a bass distortion pedal. Maybe. Be quite nice. I used to have a Behringer one, but I left it. We used to play Ace of Spades once every half a dozen times in the studio, and I lent it to Nick, the bass player. I forgot to get it back off him. It was only a tenner. Even if he said, "Oh, I've got this pedal," give me a phone out of the blue. Not that I think he's going to. But up here, I'm driving over to Paisley to get it. It's going to cost more than a tenner diesel. There's no point. I'll just go buy another one. Some sort of wee bass pedal that's got a dry wet mix on it. Would be quite nice. Oh, I wonder if that's an idea. I wonder if I don't run the bass into the drum machine. I think my thinking was I could choose more. So I've got the stereo jam pedal, so I'm out the box thinking just now. Because I'm going to this is all getting rearranged. I might actually be. I'm just doing this just now before I get dug in properly. I think I'm going to upgrade the stereo system in here to the point of I put out these. You see these JPW speakers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a subwoofer down there. I've got like a DTS 5.1 system plugged in, and to be honest, I've had that since I put this up, and I've not used it once. Really, it doesn't. I used to have my old DTS amp used to have like a volume control for each speaker that was dead easy to get to, and you could just basically turn up the center speaker, which meant that if you're watching a film at night, you can have the talking dead loud and the explosions dead quiet, which is great. For like when you're trying to concentrate on something, especially when you're watching maybe not the best quality video. Yeah, like a YouTube, a film that's legally been put on YouTube. You're watching that and trying to watch, it's great. Whereas I think I'd rather have I've got my dad's old Celestion Deton speakers, which are thingies, they're 13 inches wide, and they basically, if I shunt this right up to the heater, and then it'll fit in there, bang, be about that height. Fantastic speakers, and I've got enough room for another one there, so I would just have a stereo setup, and that would get rid of that speaker, that speaker, that speaker, that speaker, which means I could move the desk to utilise a bit more of the room here, and that means I could have my good record player there, and then I could have the desk perhaps in there, because I would use that speaker as well, which means I would gain that amount of bit to put shit in. Yeah, so I'm thinking I might do that, but I wanted to do a video first. I wanted to make sure the bass amp was going to be running fine. To be honest, I'm loving it sitting on the floor there. I think it seems a very obvious thing now that I say it, but having a bass amp where it is right there, where I'm standing here, is where a bass amp should be. You should be standing in front of it so you can hear it, and I can feel it through the soles of my feet. And I'm finding that maybe that was one of the reasons that it wasn't sounding so good before, because it was sitting over there. It was actually balanced on top of this amp, but I don't know how good your resolution is, but that there is that's the letters that are there, because obviously I made that to put the Sovtek on top of. It's actually a 2x12. One of them's a Celestion Creamback, and the other one's a of no description made in England Celestion speaker, which is just a shit one. And I did a test before running that cabinet with the Sovtek in my last house with my pals, and I had it sitting up on top of a cabinet like that, and it was like, there's a speaker there, there's a speaker there, hey, here's a guitar, just plugged into that, whatever you want to do, right? Which of those two speakers is the expensive one? One of them's an expensive Celestion Creamback worth £100. The other one I bought for a tenner. Which is which? And I think I tried 5 different people on different occasions. Every one of them guessed the cheap one. Well, they guessed that the expensive creamback one was the one that I don't even know what it is for a tenner. I need to try and see. I wonder what it sounds like. 'Cause I mean, obviously I built the cab, and that swing is from Peg's Astra. A Vauxhall Astra, his first real car. I think it might have actually been his first car. Had for many years, and I had a red Astra that was the same, but mine was an estate and much more beat up. And then when I told it to someone crashed into it, I think. Someone crashed into it. That's why the badge came off. And then when I told him to the scrapyard where he got £100 for it, prized that off it. I'm going to put that on my guitar cabinet because it kind of looks like the Fender logo, apart from it says swing. Rock on. Hey, so here we are up close just to show you the pizza of resistance with this amp. Yep, so obviously on wheels so you can spin it round. And it completely, ridiculously how well that fits in. Look, look, that's how tight it is. It's totally held in. And second one is the same. I actually bought that purely for this reason. And see, when I was centralising the amp, it's so perfect sideways. Well, look at how much wiggle there is in it. You know, there's nothing. There's a wee bit up and down, but that's it. That's a bit slimy actually. That top one properly. Yeah. So I'm not an alcoholic and I'm not hiding booze about the house, but I was a wee bit annoyed when I worked out that I couldn't actually put it in the front. But to get two in the back, it's cheesy. Also means I've got a good bucky stash. Oh. And then even if anyone else in the band fancies a wee mid-gig drink, we can always share it out. I can still have a whole bottle myself and give one to the rest of the band. Rock on! Oh, it's weird having to look at the screen up there, but the camera's there.